Welcome to the FBU podcast. This is Tom Langton. I'm here with Vince Gabriel.
Hey,
Vince,
Tom.
what's going on?
Hey, Tom.
How you doing, buddy?
Outstanding.
Good.
Very
good. Today's topic, I'm going to make sure we get this right. Why gyms keep losing members and what to do about it.
That's it?
Okay, before we do that.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's
but
it.
Before we do that, we got to talk about a few things.
What's that? What do you got for me?
Number one, just so that everyone listening knows, it's Sunday morning. We're here because we work on Vince Gabriel. We work on Vince Gabriel time.
Sorry.
So me and Andres had to get up on a Sunday morning. Andres is here too. We had to get up on a Sunday morning because you're a busy guy. So tell everyone what you're doing. Why are we recording this on a Sunday morning?
I am leaving for Arizona to pace my buddy Joe Hashi at the Cocodona 250.
Right, 250-mile race.
Yeah.
And you have to run how much?
I was supposed to go Tuesday, and then he calls me and asks if I can come Monday, and I'll do anything Joe asks.
Yeah.
But it just makes me think I'm going to have to be running more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
He's kind of like he puts out like this persona of like this tough guy, but I think he's a little high maintenance. I feel like that's like a high maintenance move of like.
I think it's a big deal.
I mean, 250.
I think it's a big deal.
250 miles is a big deal.
He sends me an email subject line. All these people, everyone doing this race has like 20 pacers.
Right.
I'm the only pacer he's got.
So you're gonna have to do it multiple times.
Multiple what? Multiple legs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
I don't know.
Oh,
But like I looked at the legs. It's like they're like 30 miles long.
When does he start?
Monday.
Monday.
It's a Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we're here. So, hey, well, I do want to publicly thank you and Andres for being here on a Sunday morning.
Also,
it's kind of nice though. Yeah, like not a lot of distractions.
Also, we're going to talk about the short sleeves. You decided to wear short sleeves today.
I always wear short sleeves. There's usually a cover up.
I thought maybe you were like lifting before I got here.
Biceps.
Did you get a little pre pump?
Not at all.
That's like the old media day, college football media day, where like you go in the weight room and everyone's doing biceps before the team picture.
Did you guys ever do the Men of Summer poster?
No, I mean you talk about this all the time. That's like a temple thing.
So you guys didn't do it?
The Men of Summer.
So we used to do this thing called the Men of Summer poster at Temple, where once a year after the summer training, everyone would get like greased up and swole, and then they would take a picture with our shirts off, and like the linemen would all be in the back, like hiding behind everybody. And then there's the one picture of me. I was like legit. Because you don't want to show your boobies.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like the big fat linemen are like they're like hiding behind people.
But I think from my chest up, you probably
they would do the whole cross the arms and then like push the boobs up so it didn't look like you had bitch tits. Yeah, that's kind of what it. Yeah.
We might have to cut that out. Let's talk about what's going on. You had it. We're here in Gabriel Fitness. So just so everyone knows, we're in Gabriel Fitness right now.
Yes.
But we're in the SBF. What do you call this? Classroom. This is the learning center.
World HQ.
The HQ. Okay.
World HQ.
And we're recording this on Sunday morning. On Friday, you had an event here.
Yeah, it's great.
What'd you have?
We did. I did a personal brand to build your gym workshop. So essentially, what I did was, brand. If you look at me and how many Instagram followers I have, like I'm not like a big household name, right? But I've been able to build brands through small niches. The first brand I built was the local community here in Berkeley Heights. The second one I built was, gain some authority with this space, right, through, consulting gym owners.
Right.
And so the point was I wanted to take these guys and teach them how to build authority in their local communities to grow their gym. So I wasn't trying to make them be Insta famous. I really just wanted them to be a known person in their community so they could grow their gym. So we talked about public speaking, we talked about book writing, we talked about the relationships they built in the community, we talked about the content they needed to create, the identity they needed to have, and the clarity around that identity. So we did a full day deep dive. And the cool thing is, like, this was the first workshop I taught like this, where we had AI, where like we were then creating things
for those people.
Yeah, like we created like their next 6 months of content.
That's cool.
And all the outlines of the videos. We legit got their book title down. It was really cool. It was
you think you'll do it again?
I think so. I think good feedback from it. But the crazy thing with using AI with this stuff, like we got done in a day what would have taken 3 to 4 days, like in a normal workshop. So it was really cool. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of this, I wrote this down. I was going to ask you. I don't want to hurt your feelings with this though.
Are we back on the biceps thing?
No, we're not talking about the shirt anymore. So when I first, I owned a gym for a couple of years. I was a partner in a gym, and when I first changed on Facebook and Instagram to owner of Alpha Fit Club, right? All of a sudden, my DMs were flooded with business coaches, right? Just like you. Well, at least in appearance, it was a bunch of people like you who were former people in the fitness industry that have now become consultants, coaches. Everyone had a different title for whatever it was they did. And this was marketing, this was sales, but no joke, like friend requests, probably 10 to 15 a day in those first couple of months of people kind of buttering me up. Hey, I see you're doing big things, blah, 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 right? So as a gym owner, a business owner, how do you like siphon through that? How do you filter out like who's legit, who's bad? Because I know you guys advertise too, because I get targeted with SBF content as well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nonstop from a standpoint of business people or gym owners that become business coaches. It kind of seems to be like very popular thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. So when I started this company, the coaching business for gym owners, right? I was like, all right, I do not know how to run this kind of business. This is a totally different company. It's very different than running a gym.
Right.
And the first thing I did was I sat down and was like, all right, I need help. And I need to find someone that can help me do this. And I found this guy, Paul Goff, right? And Paul Goff runs a business mastermind for physical therapists. Right. That's what he was doing. And he literally had almost the same story as me. He like opened up a small physical therapy clinic in the UK. He ran it successfully, did really well, and then got people reaching out to him to help.
Right.
And then he started a coaching business for physical therapists. And then, so he was several years into his coaching business, and I knew he was a Dan Kennedy disciple, right? And so I hired him to help me grow this business. So he taught me how to create, the surge program. Like I didn't know how to like 6 weeks, when we did that 6 week client surge work, I had no idea to create something like that. I did my first webinar. Like I had no idea how to do a webinar. We started this podcast many years ago, wrote books and stuff. So he was the one that kind of took me under, I paid him, right? But I wanted to work with him because he had a real life living and breathing company that I aspired to, right? I saw what he was doing. I was able to go to his events. I saw the energy. I saw the people. I saw what was happening. And I was able to put myself inside of it and be like, wow, this is something I want to create for gyms. And so I think that the thing is like, there's a lot of people out there that are doing consulting that you can't touch what they've created.
What do you mean?
They haven't created anything except a coaching business for business owners, right? And so that means that they're just kind of taking ideas and things that they've learned and they're teaching it, and there's no real proof and there's no real backup that they've actually done it themselves. And so that's why I think like I look for someone like, have you done something that I want to do? I have a specific goal, and I think it's so important for people to have a goal, know what they want to accomplish, know where they want to take it, right? And once you know that and you find the person, it's like, all right, have they accomplished something or something similar, right? I didn't need someone that had a consulting business for gyms. Like I didn't need someone that did that, right? I just need someone that has a similar concept, right? And then I can look at what they're doing, and sometimes it's even more effective like that,
right?
When you get someone outside of your industry to be able to do it. So that's what I personally like. Other people are fine with other ways, but I personally like that there's credibility behind. Hey, I have a certain place I want to go. You have been to that place. Now teach me what you know, so I can help get to that place too. And I think that the challenge is. There's the barrier to entry to be a consultant for gym owners is really, really low.
Right.
You need to put an ad up on Facebook, right? That's all you need to do, and create a lead magnet that you can do now on AI in 2 seconds. And there's some good ones out there, like my buddy Mark Fisher, right, is doing a great job. Pat Rigsby, guys I like. There's some really good people that are doing the Cosgroves that are doing good work out there, and all those people you could touch what they've created, right? They've been there. they've done that. And then there's a lot of guys that just like, you're like, who is this person? And they look like they're 22 years old, right? 19 years old. And like, what have they actually done? Never even heard of this person. And now they're coaching gym owners. And most of the time it's like I don't want to talk shit, but like most of the time what happens is they either didn't have a gym at all, and they're an online personal trainer that now they're helping bring, or they had a gym for like a year. They couldn't they didn't have success.
Right.
So they closed their gym down and they started, this was rampant during COVID. Like rampant.
All the closing,
like,
all the closing
they all
gyms.
closed their, well, so I couldn't make it.
Make money, right?
I couldn't survive. Right? There was something about surviving COVID. Like if you could survive during COVID, man, that's a big deal. And so a lot of these guys didn't survive. They couldn't hack it, or they sold their gym for nothing, and then they became a consultant, right? And so I think it's like, yeah, and have someone that did that probably helped somebody, yeah, probably. But I think that it's important to tread carefully for that. But
no,
I like the credibility side. I like, you got to show me what you've created.
I was just looking for some kind of a filter because I know, and I still get hit up, not as often as I was, but I still get hit up, and I'm just like, who is, like, number one, you say, who is this person? Number two, like, how do I filter out? Like, because I bet you some of these people are good, but like, how do you filter? How do you filter?
And I think what they do is a lot of the success stories and testimonials are built around very front end heavy. Right? They use these stats of like, I got this person 344 leads in 3 days. Right. And they use that as their data versus, if you look at a lot of the SPF success stories, it's like, I went from a $200,000 gym to an $800,000 gym.
Right. It takes a little more time.
Yeah, it takes time, right? But that's a life-changing result
for sure.
Versus, hey, I can run an ad for somebody and get them a bunch of leads. It's like, that's not that hard.
All right. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I was curious because there are a lot of people like you out there.
There are a lot of charlatans out there like me.
I didn't say charlatans, but I think
charlatans.
I said charlatans. But I think that's the thing is like a lot of people, for you, like people see your ads and they think they lump you in with that, right?
Yeah.
So it either goes one way or the other, where it's like all of these people are legitimate and I'm gonna sign on with one of these charlatans, right. Or they see you saying, "Hey, gym owners," because I get those ads. Like, in my mind, I'm like, "This guy's a scumbag."
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like to lead with books.
Okay.
Right, because that's a conscious decision of mine to help differentiate with me, right? Because not everyone can write a book. I mean, I guess these days someone can, but I've been using books forever. Right. I've been using books for a decade, and it's like it's a little harder to write a book and to publish the book and get the book out there versus like, hey, I have this 2-page lead magnet that I can like. So that's why I like to use books, because books kind of provide some semblance of credibility that you've been able to take your experiences and thoughts and put them into 100 pages and then give it away for free. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I choose that route.
All right. Let's get into it. We've been rambling for a little while.
That was too much.
Why gyms keep losing members and what to do about it. That's the title today.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Why do gyms keep losing members?
So I'll preface it with this: is the only guarantee in business is that you will lose members. That is a guarantee. It is not guaranteed that you will get new ones, but you could make your gym for free,
right?
And you'll still lose members. So we're not talking about zero. That's not possible. But this is an area of business that if you are not good at this, most gym owners that I've seen aren't good enough at sales and marketing to outpace a bad attrition rate. And so it's really, really important to have this dialed in and down. Gyms will struggle forever without having this. Okay, so the first thing that people need to know about attrition, right? Well, let's just clarify the terms. So attrition and retention, like attrition is what you lose. Some people use the term churn. Mm-hmm. Okay, retention is what you keep. So if we're like saying, oh, I have a 3% attrition rate, that means you lost 3% of your members, or you could say you have a 97% retention rate. It's the same thing. So I tend to, because of Waldron, I tend to use the word and term attrition. Okay.
But I think this goes back. This seems to be, no matter what the topic is, this is the number one thing. You got to know your numbers.
Yeah, coming
right.
Back to
it
this.
always like I think we've talked about this every episode. Is like it all starts with. There's no point in even going on anywhere farther down the line here unless you know really what. Because I think a lot of people will say, no, we're good. We don't lose anybody. But
Yeah.
what is that number?
Well, I think the important thing is to know why the numbers matter so much. Okay, the reason why is because we're not running our business on emotion anymore.
Right.
And if we don't know the numbers, we're running our business on feelings and emotions, and that's not going to take us very far. Okay, data is truth, data is fact, and data tells us what actually is happening. Okay. So the first thing is understanding what's good, right? Because I said we're going to have some. So we got to understand what's good, and then we got to understand what's bad, and then we got to find the ways to get to what's good as much as possible.
Okay, so what's good and bad?
So I'll basically give you, now this data is coming from the majority of people that follow me, the majority of my customers are boutique style personal training based gyms. Okay. The numbers I'm about to give are kind of for those types of businesses. If you were to look at box gyms that are doing, $39 memberships, the numbers are
right. So
different,
higher volume, way more people. You're going to have a different number.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then even there's also a difference between large group gyms. Well, did you guys have like a certain number?
There was numbers we were trying to hit, but it wasn't as low as what you were doing,
right?
Just because of the volume that we were coming in, right? But we also had a higher expectation for new members as well, right? Because the sales process was very different.
Exactly.
So the numbers were close, but definitely higher on both ends. We wanted more per month, but we also understood we were going to lose more per month as well.
Yeah. So the data and numbers I'm giving and presenting here are, for the boutique style small group, one-on-one. And you could argue that the large group gyms are just going to be skew higher. It's not going to be crazy higher.
No.
But that so I look at we're doing great if we can be anywhere from 1% to 3%.
Okay.
If we can do anywhere between 1% and 3%, we're doing a really good job. The members are happy. The staff is doing great work, and it's going to be very easy to outpace that number, right? Because all growth happens from a net gain, right? So if you have 100 members, the goal is that you gain a net of 5 and go to 105. Right. And then the next month you gain another +5 and you're at 110, right? That's where growth happens. The problem is a lot of times what happens is people, they gain 5 and they lose 5.
And they're just sitting
like, there's nothing more frustrating than that. And they look at their bank account and it's just like, I'm not making any more money. And it's just like, and they're just filling a leaking bucket. And they're good enough at marketing to fill what they're losing. Okay. And that's the problem. If the retention is bad, most gym owners aren't really that great at marketing to be able to outpace that bad attrition rate.
Gotcha.
And so that's why. So 1% to 3%. You could almost in your sleep, you can almost do no marketing, right? And kind of almost do a little bit better. Like, look, if you have 100 members,
right?
You only need to get 3 to break even. Mm-hmm. It's like you can just randomly get
1 person a week.
It's like you can randomly get 3 members. You get 1 referral here, you get a walk-in here, and then you get someone that word of mouth or like whatever, right? So you're putting yourself in a really strong position to grow when you can get your churn low. Now, that's not easy, right? That's not easy, and it's been very, very hard post-COVID. I mean, post-COVID, we saw, pre-COVID, most gyms were around 3%. Okay. It's creeped up, like there was a few years, and some of my data comes from not just the SPF members, but some of my data comes from a guy named Mike Waldron, who we've talked about on the show. He owns Carmel Valley Financial, which is basically, he's like a robo CFO. And so he has all the data and all the numbers, and he has hundreds of gyms. And he sends me a monthly report of all of his gyms and what the average attrition is. And it popped up to 6%.
Across?
Yeah, across all of his gyms. Popped up to 6% post-COVID. It's slowly starting to go back down, but the peak, like 2020, I can't remember the exact year, but like 2022, 3, obviously 2020, it was it was off the charts, right?
What does he attribute that to?
I mean, I think there was just a lot of uncertainty in the air. Like even post-COVID wasn't post-COVID. Post-COVID was kind of like COVID. Yeah. Right? There's so much uncertainty. There's got people losing jobs. There's all kinds of things. So I think that the uncertainty in the world was causing that. Right. And obviously through the last few years, we've from COVID, we've had some stabilization, which is it's slowly starting to trickle back down, closer, but it's still not, his numbers are not, he's still at around between 4 and 5%.
Okay.
That's where he's at.
Okay.
So we're still not back to post-COVID, that 3% number where the average is around 3. We're still humming at that 4 or 5 number, which means it's making it harder for people to leave. Now, really quickly, the way you get that number, I think I'm kind of assuming people that know, at home know how to get the number. But basically, if you were to take, the total number of members you have. Now, this is interesting, and you remember this. Remember when we had MindBody, and our MindBody was such a freaking mess.
We couldn't track it.
We couldn't even know how many members we had.
It was
Like, so I do believe, like, one of our sponsors at SPF is Anomaly, like Summit. They do a great job, but you need to know how many members you have.
It's very important.
Like it's such important. A basic number,
yeah.
But like if you don't know and you're like kind of confused on that, and you should know exactly, you got to look into your software, and you might need to reboot it. You might need to clean it up. You might need to get a new software. But you should know how many members you have.
And you should be tracking this monthly, weekly?
Yeah, so you will track this number monthly.
Okay.
You'll track like what happens weekly.
Okay.
But you want to look at the percentage number on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Yeah. And so essentially you take, like, let's say you have 100 members, and that month, for whatever reason, you lost 3 members. You would take the number 3, you would divide it by your total number of members, and that would give you the percentage. So if I lost 3, I have 100, that gives me a 3% attrition rate. So
Gotcha.
It's pretty simple, pretty easy to calculate. And so, like, I kind of broken into buckets. There's 1 to 3%, there's 3 to 4%, kind of is that midpoint, and then there's 4 to 6%. That's where we want to be, right? Anything above 6%. I kind of look at it like this, like anything above 6%, you're starting to get into territory where you really gotta lean on your marketing. You really now, like if you're losing 7 a month, right? If you're like, I'm using 100 members just to make it easy, right? But if you're losing 7 a month, you're now getting into territory where you need to get 9 to 10 members a month just to grow +3, which is a small growth rate. It's still growth, it's still good, but it's still like small, and you'll trickle along. But you have to get 10 members a month just to do that.
Okay, so as a gym owner, I have 2 questions. One is there will be months where that number gets higher and months where it's lower than that,
yes.
Right? So should I, if I look at my last
Great
month's
question.
number, should I freak out if I'm at 6%, but the last 12 months I've been at 2%? Like how long of a
I gotta
test?
tell you, you're a damn good question asker.
Thanks, bud. Thanks.
So, and this is something I picked up from Wallingford. 1 month is not a trend.
Right.
90 days is a trend.
So 3 months.
3 months.
Okay.
So you're looking at your
the last 3 months.
Yeah, look at the quarter. Right. You still want to track it monthly, but you're right. You don't want to freak out that, oh my God, we had a 7% churn rate. It's like the mantra here is 90 days is a trend.
Okay.
Right. And so it's not a problem.
Because there will be months where
100%.
Every gym has a bad month.
100%.
This month we lost 8, but the next month maybe it's 1, and you got to average them out.
Yeah, and the most accurate average, 90 days is where you can start to see the trend, but really you want to look at almost on an annual basis. It's like, all right, last year we ran at a 5% churn rate over the course. That's kind of give you the most basis of how you're doing. But yes, look at that 90-day trend. And don't freak out about 1 month for sure.
So let's say I look at my last 3 months and I'm at 7%, all right, as a gym owner. What you just said, like over 6%, you really got to lean on the marketing. So where should I put my attention then? Should I put my attention on the marketing and my money in the marketing, or do I have to look within and say, what do I do first?
Yeah.
Do I ramp the marketing up, or do I fix the problem?
So the ideal answer is both, right?
Yeah.
So you want to do both, and there's only so many, because you don't want to do zero marketing, right? You're not going to just all of a sudden stop doing any marketing at all because you have a churn problem, but it's more of the percentage of your energy and the percentage of your time and the percentage of your focus should go to the thing that is the biggest problem. And you're right, if you're at 7% and all of your energy goes to sales and marketing, you're missing the point, right? Because that job is just really, really hard at 7%. So yes, more of your focus and energy should go towards improving that 7% and getting that down to 6 and getting that down to 5. And ideally, that's a leadership thing, right?
Right.
You shouldn't have to do all the work. Really, what you're doing is you're firing up the squad, you're firing up the team, and you're getting your staff to be like, hey, this is where we're at right now. People are leaving. And I found that, like, we did this when you worked there. Like, I would give you guys the data, and you guys would take it personally.
For sure.
And I wanted that to happen. Like, I want you to take it personally. We're like, dude, why are we like, what, do they not like us? Like, what's going on? Why? And I think that a good leader, not make you feel like shit that's happening, but really light a fire and be like, hey, dude, let's step it up. Let's, like, kind of like a team. Like, fine, let's win. Like, we're not winning.
Yeah.
It's like you want to win as a business. And if you're at like 7-8% attrition, you're kind of getting your ass kicked a little bit. So the job of the leader is to get in and fire the squad in the team meetings and be like, hey, dude, it's time to get going.
All right, so we get the team going. Where does it start? Where do we start? We got a leaky bucket, like you called it, right?
Yeah.
How do we plug that leak? We get the team fired up. Everybody's on board. But like tactically, what's the first step?
So we were going to go through everything?
Well, yeah. Well, let's start.
Well, we didn't get to lifetime value. Well, let me just do before we get to the things.
Yeah.
Let me just do that. So if I wanted to tell the difference between how much money a business owner can make by the difference between 4% attrition and 5% attrition.
Okay.
So if I based this one on 150 members at $400 a month.
Okay.
So a business at 5% churn will generate around $551,000.
Okay.
Okay. A 4% churn is $580,000. Okay. That's a $30,000 difference just in 1%.
1%.
Right. And so that could be a mantra of it. Like, and that's $30,000 in profit. Like, that's not like, that's real money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like $3,000 a month. Like, you want to make you want to take home an extra $3,000 a month in that scenario, just make your churn better by 1%.
Right.
Like, that's not a lot of people. That's just a couple little things that you start to do better. And so that's why I think that if you look at how big of a difference a small improvement makes, this is worth energy and time.
Do you talk to gym owners in the SPF that are like, hey, we're close. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Where, like, they don't realize. I think that number is important because someone could say, like, oh, you're saying 3% is good, but I'm at 4.5.
Yeah.
But that 4.5 could be $40,000, $50,000 a year.
Yeah. And we do this thing where we do annual planning, where we have them create a 1-year plan where it's like, what's the revenue, what's the profit, and then a lot of times we create goals. What do we want to hit in goals? And many times the goal is reduce churn by 1%.
Gotcha.
Right, and that's an overall annual goal, and then they're doing things each quarter to reduce it. But it makes a big difference. Just a small. I mean, you go 2%. Like, now we're talking.
Gotcha. So the numbers are important. Understanding your number, getting below that threshold is a big deal.
Yes.
You're going to make more money. You don't have to do any sales and marketing if you just fix the leaky bucket first.
Yes.
You're going to make more money.
Yep. And so the big things I wanted to talk about today are like why it happens.
Yeah.
Why do some gyms have high churn rates? Why do some gyms have low churn rates? And let's give you some of the reasons.
Okay.
And then some of the things that we can do about it.
All right, where do we start?
Okay, we're going to start with what I believe is the number one biggest driver of attrition. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that is, you ready for it? Mm-hmm. Staff retention.
Okay.
If you have a leaking bucket of staff members, you will have an attrition problem, because you are showing instability and you're creating uncertainty with the clients. And so I will tell you, the largest, and this is so funny that we can talk about this, but the largest churn rate was when you left GFP.
Why do you think that is?
We saw this. No, but it wasn't just you. Don't toot your horn. It wasn't just you. You left in 1 month. A month later, we lost another girl that had been with us for like 7-8 years. Yep. And then another month later, we lost another guy that happened to be with us for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was like over a 4-month period where we lost. Obviously, you were probably the biggest driver of it. You had been there for 13 years. You had created relationships and stuff like that.
So you had a trend. You looked at it for 3 months. Now it's a trend.
100%. That's the only time. We've been open 18 years. And that's the only time something like that has happened. And I think it was kind of a fluky thing. I think it was just a timing thing. But it hindered us big time.
Yeah.
For sure. And so that is like the biggest thing you got to do as a business is make sure you're doing a good job of taking care of the staff members, right? A lot of times we want to put all of our energy into the clients, right? But the real thing is like, are we putting the energy into the people that are training the clients? That's really the leader's job. Like as the owner of your business, if you have staff, like there's this thing about like as people grow in business, I don't know if you kind of said this, they try to hang on to having a relationship with every client.
For sure, it's impossible.
Right, and you can't. Like once you get to a certain size, like you can't do that. You can't go to a graduation party every hour.
Right.
Like I remember that was like one thing. Like we used to get invited to all the parties
early on, all the Christmas parties, all the graduations.
Yeah, and it's just after a while, it's like okay, you're past that, and your job is now not to have a relationship with every client, but start to really be leaning into the staff.
Right.
And providing a great place to work, providing good leadership, providing good management, providing good, pay. Like you're paying people fairly. Like you got to be able to do that stuff and show genuine appreciation. But if you're not doing those things, there's a good chance you're going to have a constant flow of a constant, revolving door of staff members, and you're going to have a constant revolving door of clients too.
It's like Bill Belichick. I'm a football guy, right? He talked about he coached the coaches coached the players. So he made sure the way he could best take care of his entire team is to make sure the coaches were on point.
Yeah.
And then it kind of trickled down. Okay, so let me ask you this. So if you have a long time, I think this can be confusing because you also talk about there is a point in a trainer's career cycle that they're going to leave. I forget what you have an age that you say 28 or 29.
Well, so it's my rule of 27.
27. Sorry.
And the theory came from, and there's no real basis behind this, but like I hired a lot of people and they were like 22, 23 years old.
Right.
And then usually when we hired you at first, like you're like Andres, like, do you live with your parents or you live on your own?
I live with my parents.
Yeah. So like, how old are you?
24.
Yeah. So he's like, we hired him a year ago. So this is exactly my point.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain it right here.
Yeah.
But like, so, and by the way, Andres is our camera guy, but he's also a phenomenal trainer at JFK,
sure.
right? So we hired Andres at 23. Mm-hmm. Okay. He lives right now with his parents still. He's got a girlfriend. Okay. There's probably some wheels in his mind turning about asking his girlfriend to get married. Okay, that's happening. Okay,
sure.
And then also there's probably another thing in Andres' head of, hey, maybe I want to get an apartment. All right, maybe I want to get a place to live. Maybe I want to move out of my parents' house. I'm sick of my mom's breakfast. I don't want her to make me breakfast anymore.
Right.
Okay, then all of a sudden he's like, they get the house. They have married. What's next? Oh, maybe we should have a baby. Yeah, let's have a baby. Okay, and all this is happening by around 27 years old. And I'm just going to be like, looking around and be like, am I making enough money to support my life and support what I want? All right. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it's not. And the people that are growing companies and creating opportunities can keep that person.
Gotcha.
If there's nowhere for them to go, there's a good chance they're going to move on because they need more to live the lifestyle that they want to live. Now, am I explaining everybody? No. There's some people that, maybe Andres is going to be that guy that lives in his parents' basement when he's 45 years old. That's possible too.
Right.
Okay? And that's a great thing for business.
Yeah.
So, but that's my kind of like thing. But
a way to improve staff attrition is to build a bigger company. So
yeah, be building something,
right.
Like to have a place for them to go. One of the reasons why I love this company, right? This company just creates other opportunities,
sure.
right? So like I can get someone like a Chris that's doing training, but I can bring him in and he can do stuff for trainers and things like that. So the more you grow a company, the more opportunities you have for other people. So that's your job is to, Andy Frisella talks about this a lot on his podcast. It's like at some point you make enough, as an owner, you might make enough money or your life might be good.
Yeah.
Right? I'm at that point where my life is good. And now I'm starting to continue to grow these businesses, grow these companies for the people that are here.
Gotcha.
To create and give them opportunities. I want that. I want that.
But with that, there needs to be an expectation that people will, like, how do you prepare yourself for once, because like people are going to leave. There's no way you're keeping everybody, right? So when you talk about staff attrition, is there something I can do as a gym owner to be ready when like that star trainer leaves or that star employee, because people are gonna leave. They want to go do their own thing. They want it bigger. They want their own business. How do I protect myself if that's gonna happen?
Yeah, I think that there's a few ways. The first way is very simple and very basic, and I'm hoping I'm preaching to the choir on this. It's like, you got to treat people well.
Right.
Like if you treat them like these mules and you grind them down to the grindstone, which I've made that mistake before. Like you overwork them, you underpay them, you don't treat them poorly, you don't get to know them really well. You're eventually going to lose people, right? And so I think the most people, like someone taking the time to listen to this podcast, I'm hoping isn't that category. But there are a lot of people in that category. They're just bad managers of people. They're bad leaders, and they don't care enough about seeing success. Their staff members seeing success. So I think that's kind of like par for the course. I don't want to like go down that road too much. But the next thing would be like kind of what I was saying before is like creating opportunities and having a place for them to go and be able to grow and be able to make more money. That would be kind of like the second thing. So it's treating people well and then giving them opportunities. Those are two ways that we can really.
But how do
in the saddle.
But how do you protect your business when that does happen? Do you know what I'm saying? So if someone leaves, like someone, because you said there was a dip when you had a couple of us leave Gabriel Fitness.
Yes.
Is there a way to protect your company? So in case that did happen, is there something you can do?
The one good thing is when I say that. The one good thing that's never happened to us that I think does happen to a lot of people is they have a staff member leave and they take a ton of clients with them.
For sure.
That has never happened to me. And I don't know why, right? I think there's a couple reasons. I think one of the first reasons is the way we structure it.
Right.
We structure our company for the client to have a relationship with the business, not necessarily a trainer
person.
right now.
Right.
That doesn't mean you didn't have good relationships with certain clients, but the way we've set up our scheduling, the way we rotate the staff members and the trainers, not always on the same schedule, that tends to create a relationship with the business over just a relationship with the trainer.
Person.
And I think that's one of the benefits of small group training.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of I think you see that a lot more in one-on-one.
For
where
sure.
They take someone and they're gone, right? With a small group, it's a little bit more insulated. So I think that's a case for the small group model, right there. It's a lot less likely for someone to take a bunch of members. But I think that the majority of the time, somebody, and again, I'm maybe speaking in generalizations here.
Which is fine.
The majority of the time that somebody leaves a business and takes 40 members, that's a fuck you.
Yeah.
That's a fuck you to your boss. And so I think that you could look back to kind of the first thing I was saying.
The relationship.
The relationship. It's like, did you, because I've had, you guys are all leaving, and some of you almost like were to a fault. We're just saying like, I'm not going to take anybody, like, blah, blah, I'm going doing this thing. So I think that that's really where, if that does happen, you got to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, that sucks, but there's probably something there. It's never 100-0. There's probably something that you did as the owner to create someone wanting to screw you like that.
And take the people.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you prevent it by going back to the first thing. It's like you really do prevent it like that. But also the structure and the model and rotating the schedules and tweaking things like that.
And I think part of that is, I think one of the big fears we talk about with gym owners who are still training a lot of hours on the floor is their fears that when they step away, that they're going to lose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a fear we talk about where it's like, the clients love me. Like Vince, they come here to train with Vince. And if I step away and focus on marketing and sales, there's going to be a retention problem. I think that's a big fear.
Yeah.
So how can you build that?
I think that it's such an important thing to understand is that is a thing to communicate with your staff. I think that's a fear gym owners have is they don't want to get off the floor because they feel if they're almost going to be like looked at as lazy.
Right.
Right. They're looked at as like, what the fuck is he doing in the office? there, like what's happening? And I think like gym owners stay on the floor too long because they don't want to be judged like that.
For sure.
And I think what needs to happen, and I did this with you guys, like I sat down with you guys and explained to you, I talked about the E-Myth, the difference of working on your business, and it's just, hey, I spent the last X years on the floor with you guys, and now my role is shifting. My job is to grow this company, is to build the systems and create the processes that we can create it better so you guys have better opportunities. So I do think there's a communication piece of it.
For sure.
But that's a big thing. I think that people have a tough time coming to grips with the new role as the business tends to
100%.
grow.
People want to be the star. They want to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
All right. So number one, take care of your staff.
Yeah, you got
If you take care of your staff, the retention, right? You take care of the staff, your staff will take care of your people. We'll keep them there.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, to a point, right? You're going to lose people,
you will.
but you just don't want to get screwed over in the process.
So that's number one. You want to fix the leaking bucket, fix your team.
Yeah.
What else?
So the next one is I think people leave because they feel ignored. Clients will leave a gym because they feel like they're kind of just a number versus they're part of a community and part of something. And one of the most important things that people need to do is to have a regular tracking process for those signs.
All right,
Okay,
so what are the signs?
The example is this. 3 men go into a restaurant and they're old guys and they go to this restaurant every Tuesday and they never miss. Okay? And then one Tuesday they miss. The owner of that restaurant should be putting, a missing people's report out to find those 3 men and going to their homes and being like, hey, it's Tuesday. You guys are here at 7 for the last 3 years. Why aren't you here?
Right.
The owner that does nothing puts his business at risk because they're going down to the Bob's Big Boy instead of their restaurant.
Good breakfast.
Right?
Good breakfast buffet.
But that's the most important thing is that people are paying attention to those signs. And when you are consistently following up with people through, if they miss a session, tracking their attendance, we have this thing called leave no man behind attrition tracking, all right? And so we are on them. If they miss one session, they're getting a phone call. So I think that's the biggest thing is like when that happens, they don't feel like they're ignored.
Yeah.
They feel like there's someone out there that cares about them. There's someone out there that's looking out for them. There's someone out there that wants them to be there. And that's a differentiator. It's a differentiator between our gyms and the big box gyms and stuff like that. It's like their business models are designed so they don't show up.
Yeah.
And ours are the opposite. It's like we're going to call you, when you don't show. So that's but if that doesn't happen, people feel like it doesn't matter that they didn't come.
Yeah.
And so since it doesn't matter that they didn't come, they have no problem leaving.
I don't know. I'll chime in on this. I think making it part of the culture. I mean, we'll talk. Remember Kenny Pedini?
Yeah.
We would put up we put him on a milk carton and posted it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And number one, he thought it was the funniest thing ever. But number two, other members saw that and were kind of like, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one getting called out. Like we would call people out publicly on social media. Obviously, we had really good relationships with these people, and like it wasn't spiteful or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think that culture of like, hey, if you don't show up, you're going to get called out. Like it's almost like being part of a team where if you don't show up for practice, like we're going to break your balls a little bit. So I think having that culture of like,
absolutely.
If like I think that goes back to the culture of like, if you're not here, we're gonna let you know about it. And people don't want to be the one getting called out. That there's not a fear, but that feeling of like, oh shit, like they're paying attention, like they know when we're here or not. I think that's a cultural thing.
Yeah, and that has to be built into your systems.
For sure.
You have to have, and again, I talk about systems a lot, but you need this is one of the most important systems in your business is tracking when people are coming and when they're not coming, and then what are the simple action steps that happen if they don't show up. Like that is the most basic form of systemization that a business needs because this is the number one driver of retention. Yeah, is their attendance.
Right.
There's nothing more important than that.
If you see like talk about trends, if you see a trend in the attendance dipping,
correct.
Like you got to take action. Don't let it go past a certain point.
Yeah, like at the first 2 months, they're there 3 days a week, every week, and then all of a sudden they're coming 2, and all of a sudden they're 1, and it's just like if that is just like it's about to happen.
What about didn't you say something about when they drop their membership level? That's like the number one indicator. If they're paying for 3 times a week and all of a sudden they say, you know what, I'm going to go to 2. I'm going to, like, not even attendance, but dropping their membership level is a really big indicator.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's just a decrease in engagement.
Right.
So it would be similar, like if that's actually better though, because they're kind of doing it intentionally.
Right.
Right. Then all of a sudden it starts
showing
happening.
up.
Right. So, but the biggest thing is people leave because they think it's okay. It's like, oh, I'm not showing up. They don't care. I'm not, like, they're just like kind of disengaged, and then they end up terminating their membership.
Okay. So
we need things to combat that.
Pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I think people get bored. I think people leave because they get bored. They show up, they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and there's not any engagement from the gym. They're coming, they're doing the same warm-up, they're doing the same training program. That's one of the reasons why we went away from individualized programs, is because we had an individualized program for them, and then they would basically come and do the same workout for 6 weeks, and they would show up and they were like, all right, I got 5 sets of 5 trap bar deadlift again, and they would do it, and they just, after a while, would kind of get bored with it. Now, for some people, that's good. Some people are boring and they like boring.
Right.
But I think people do want some variety within the certainty that you provide.
All right, so this is a tough balance, because as a strength coach, good training is boring,
Yes.
right? And you see a lot of stuff online now, especially on Instagram. Like, in most really good gyms, it's hard to find good Instagram posts because good training is kind of boring. Like, you're gonna squat, you're gonna do swings, you're gonna, like, the real your new push-ups. So how do you make it not boring without hurting people or becoming entertainment as opposed to good training? Like, how do you walk that line?
I think you got to engage them in the process. I think that when they know, like, what's coming. So I'll give you an example. The Vanessa trains at 6 a.m. In the morning, and they were doing. We do things in like 3-week cycles, right? And we change things like every 3 weeks. And they were doing trap bar deadlift, and they were doing sets of 3 reps, right? And they were going heavy. And then the next phase, they changed, and they were doing the same exercise, but they were doing 12 reps. And so they were going heavy, and then they were going light.
Right.
And they were basically saying, when I did 12 reps, it was crazy how light the weight felt when I was doing it, and how much better I got because the heavy stuff was working.
Right.
But the point is like the programming was kind of designed to still be good and still be like a strength coach, right, providing good training, but it engaged the members enough where they felt like they were having success, and they felt like they were winning, and they felt like they were doing good things based on how the program is. So I think a lot of it comes back to programming. A lot of it comes back to how you engage the members in your programming, and how you're changing and tweaking things to be able to keep them engaged and happy. So I think that's the first piece of it, is that your programming is safe enough that it's providing a good training experience, but then it's also has enough variety to keep them engaged and excited. So people are driving to the gym, it's like, all right, next week we're going up to 12, and like they kind of like you're engaging them in the process.
For sure.
Right? But then there's like the other basic stuff. It's like, we do this thing called March Madness every year, and a lot of our members do it. And it's like there's like an attendance challenge where they get prizes for coming more often. There's things that we have on the wall that is, there's a different question on a whiteboard that shows them engaged. So it's like there's things that are happening to keep them excited and keep them engaged throughout the whole process. And I think that you can't ignore your business with that. You have to be thinking about, hey, how do we make this better? How do we engage the clients more? What are the things that we do to keep them excited about it? What's the variety we need to create? Giving them options, like we do a finisher, and it's like there's 3 options for the finisher. If they want to do curls, all right, do curls. If you want to do the assault bike, do the assault bike, right? And so there's built-in things that keep people engaged. And I think that is like a lot of times people get too caught up in making it too strength coachy.
Yeah.
That it gets boring.
It's boring.
And then,
But it can go the other way too. There's a lot of gyms that have gotten so creative.
Too much, yeah.
Too much, where it's like, we're going to do so much variety, and then you start getting people injured.
Right.
Which is that another indicator of I believe it's the next one.
That is.
Right, so injuries are a big one.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Dude, it's just like, and it's rampant in this, we train people 40 to 60 years old. And, you're well over 40 now, right? Well over 40 years old, and you probably have some injuries.
Mid-40s.
Yeah. But like everyone's got something. Everyone's got something. And I think your programming needs to be
For sure.
good enough that you are able to keep people healthy, right? Not banging them up. But two, are your staff good enough? I mean, I saw Andres, we just got a new client, and he's the father of one of our customers. And this guy's a little older.
Yeah.
He's had a bunch of like health issues and stuff like that. And I'm like watching him train, and I'm standing there with Chris, and I'm watching this guy train. I'm like, this guy, like, he could keel over like any second. And I'm watching Andres, and he's going, and he's making these tweaks, and he's making these adjustments, and like you got all these other people doing this, and he went over and was doing that. And I was like, oh, like this is perfect. He was able to adjust the workout enough for that person within that environment. You need good staff members to be able to do that if you are training this older population. And I believe this older population is the best chance you've got to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
These are the people that got the money.
For sure.
40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, those people have disposable income to be able to spend $400 to $500 a month on a business, on a gym. So that's what but you have to be, one, have staff good enough, you have to have systems good enough to be able to do it, to reduce injuries, but also to be able to work through the injuries if they do have them. But if all of a sudden, you have like this, there was this, I forget what it was, but we at Temple one time, the strength coach they put a lot of heat on the strength coach because we had like 25 guys with hamstring pulls.
On the field.
During training.
Yeah.
And the head coach comes down and says like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? And he had to revamp and change the whole program because like something was happening that was creating all of these hamstring pulls. Right. And so you have to look at your clients and look at like, that's probably something to track. Like, do you have a lot of knee injuries? Do you have a lot of shoulders? Right. And is it just a fluke thing, or is your programming actually causing some of that?
I think this is a legitimate fear from a marketing standpoint, but because like my father asked me about training for the first time ever.
Really?
Yeah, he asked me. Wow. Right, and you know my dad, right?
Yeah.
He's never worked out. He was in the Marines in Vietnam and hasn't worked out since, right? So recently we started talking about it, but talking to him, he's never had bad knees. He's never had a back problem, right? He got some other health stuff going on, but his fear is that his knees that are good are going to go. The training will create problems, right? So I think that's a legitimate fear. Is that working out is going to make me worse, not make me better? And so a lot of people are coming in. I know that Kathy Balsamo was one of our star clients. She was afraid of getting hurt, right? So yes. I think people legitimately are scared coming into a place like this. They see it on Instagram, they see it, and they're like, they're going to hurt me. Like they can't. I think that's a legitimate fear.
Yeah, and I think that's where you have to showcase that. You have to showcase that you are a business. We talked about this actually in the brand workshop. That you are a business that can help people with injuries, right? And some of that's done through, your testimonials. Like I came and my back had a bad back, and so like you're showing social proof of how you've been able to work with people that have had those same injuries that other people may have, like your dad, and train them successfully.
I think part of that also is because injuries. Well, I think injuries are like attrition. It's going to happen, right? People are going to get hurt to some degree.
Absolutely.
Right.
So this is a good lead into, I think, creating relationships with physical therapists, with massage therapists, with chiropractors, to get those people back on track. Right? Injuries are going to happen, but do you have the tools and the relationships to be able to be like, yeah, we have physical therapy at our gym. We didn't always have it, but it's a really, really good thing if someone does have an injury that. So we had a woman that just started, and in her consult, she kind of like said, like, my knee's really been bothering me lately, and she like wasn't ready to start yet.
Right.
And instead of like sending her anywhere, we're like, all right, here's what we do: go to physical therapy. We have a physical therapist in the gym. Just go see Dr. A, and he's been working with her. He's going to get her ready. In 2 more weeks, she'll be good. We risked losing a customer if we didn't have that. And it doesn't have to be in the gym. But if you risk losing a customer, if you don't have that relationship where you can get someone there, and then the conversations between the physical therapist and the trainers is like everything, right? That's such a valuable thing of like the client now has trust. That's like, all right, the person helping me get better is also talking to the person that's going to help me train. Right. That's like a very, very helpful thing. So yeah, injuries are going to happen. They are a cause. You can't fully prevent them, but if your program one is safe and good, like I talked about, like, and you're focused around that, and then you have the relationships that you can do to get people back on track as fast as possible, that can help reduce the risk of churn from injuries.
Take care of your team, take care of your members, keep them engaged, keep them healthy. What else? Anything else for?
So we said feeling ignored, right?
Yeah.
Track attendance, getting bored. The fifth one I have here is they're just not getting the results that they wanted, right? They came in, they had this expectation that they were going to lose weight, and they haven't lost weight, right? Or they had this expectation that they were going to be consistent, and they haven't been able to be consistent. They had this expectation that they were going to train pain-free, and they're not. And so I think that, one, we got to be really, really good at mapping out what they want to accomplish in the very beginning. Like, I love this question, is like, what does success look like for you? And asking that question in the very, very beginning, and then having checkpoints along the way of revisiting that question. You said success for you was showing up 3 days a week.
Yeah.
You said success for you was losing 10 pounds. You said success for you was improving your energy level from a 4 to a 9. How are you doing on that? And so I think matching what they want to accomplish with the result. A lot of times results, people think weight loss. It's not just weight loss, right? A result could be that they're showing up. A result could be improved energy level. A result could be that they're on a consistent schedule. It doesn't matter what the result is. It matters what they wanted when they started.
And is that a system you have in place in the business?
Yeah, I think, and we'll talk about the onboarding process, but like I think that these like kind of, check-ins, these regular check-ins, even if they are showing up, are really, really important. Like we do a 30-day check-in after the first month, right? And that's like it's a quick phone call. It's nothing crazy, and it's just like, hey, how are things going? I know you said we look at the paperwork. What did they want to accomplish? Right? I know you said you wanted to lose a bunch of weight when you started. How are you doing with that? I haven't lost a pound yet. Well, now you can redirect. Now you have the opportunity to be like, all right, well, tell me, how's the food going? They're like, did you use the meal plan that we gave you? No, I haven't been doing that. It's like, okay, well, let's get back on track on that. And it's an opportunity to regroup. But if you never have those checkpoints, if you never check in with them and actually ask them how they're doing, they'll get 3 months in and they'll just be like, I kind of signed up for this place because I thought I was going to lose some weight. I haven't lost any pounds. I'm going to go try something else.
Right.
Like maybe I should have done Orange Theory. Or maybe I need to go just find a nutritionist. Or maybe I need to go start GLP-1 or whatever. Like they didn't get what they wanted. And so if they don't get what they want, there's a good chance that they're going to try and find something else that helps them get what they want. So clarity on the goal when they start. What does success look like for you? And then are you following up with them to help them say, I'm getting success or I'm not? And if they're not, fine, just redirect and go from there. But if it kind of connects back with feeling ignored.
For sure.
If they told you wanted something and they're not getting it, and then you're not following up with then they're going to leave because they're not getting what they want.
Do you have systems in place for people that have been with you for a while? I think that's another big one. We're talking about the first 90 days, the first year, and like having that initial. What about a client you've had for 8 years, or a client that you've had for 5 years, and it's like in your mind you're thinking they love it here, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they leave, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Right. So
I think the systems for that, I don't know if it's as the individual check-in, because after a certain while, like if someone stays 6 months, and there is the case of. There is the case of someone stays 6 months, they had a goal of losing weight, they didn't lose weight, but they're never going anywhere.
Right.
And what is that? You're just a good relationship builder.
For sure.
Which is great. Like it's better for them to be coming than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And so that just shows. So I don't think it's like after a long time you need to do these checkpoints and stuff like that. You probably can. But I think that building good internal challenges, internal events, internal things where there's always these things that have people engage with your business that are happening all the time. And that should become a system, right? So an example is, I talked about the March Madness.
For sure.
Like that's an example of a system. Joe Hashey created this thing called Project Zero, which is run from Thanksgiving to December. And it's basically a thing that people can join, and the goal is gaining no weight through Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right.
Like they do that every year, right? And so what you can do is you can build these things into your business that are consistent, that happen every year, that members look forward to.
Right, and it creates FOMO too, where it's like,
yeah, and so
if
it's
I'm
like
thinking about leaving in October, it's like, yeah, but this is coming up in November,
right.
and it keeps me around and then the next thing will keep me. They don't want to miss that.
Right, and so they know that's coming, so it's like it's built into the systems, right? Where you have people that've been there 3 years. You might ask them to do a sit down and map out the attrition, and they're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good, buddy. I don't want to meet. I'm not going to sit down and meet with you for an hour. I'm fine. We got Project Zero coming up. I'm good.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I think it's building those types of internal retention events are really powerful.
All right.
Yeah.
So we get them results. What else you got?
And I think that here's the last one I'll talk about. Right. Is just really getting good, and then this is kind of a combination of all of them.
Yep.
Right. But really getting good and training your staff on how to build good relationships. Like that is really the kind of linchpin in all of it. Is if you can be a business that's really good at creating relationships with people, there's a good chance you're not going to have an attrition problem, right? And so, what was the book you read when you first started at GFA?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right, and it's the Bible on developing relationships.
For sure.
Right, and
For sure.
so are you as a business owner doing a good job of building relationships with your customers? Are you teaching your staff on how to build good relationships? But I believe that is like kind of the X factor in all of it. If we can build relationships and build a community and do that really well, the gyms that are doing that really well probably don't have an attrition problem.
How much of that is hiring the right people? Yeah. How much of it is doing it as a leader, or does it have to be both? You have to. I think that's where it gets lost. Is like,
I'm going to make something up here.
Okay.
I'm going to say
50-50.
I'm going to say it's 70% of who you hire.
Okay.
And then 30% of you teaching them the stuff they need to know.
Because I think sometimes
you're really good with people, right? If I never had you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I never trained you on how to build relationships, I still think you would have done a really, really good job because you were the right person.
Right.
Right. And so I think that is it. I think it's a great question. And I think if I had to make something up, it's 70% of finding someone that there's the word that keeps coming back to me is they just give a shit. They care.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you told me in your interview.
Yeah.
In your interview 18 years ago, you said the Maya Angelou quote. Right? Do you remember that?
Of course.
And the Maya Angelou quote is people don't know how much you care. No, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You said that in your interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is a guy that I want to grow a company with.
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing is like, do they actually care? Do they care enough about people? So 70% of it is the person that cares.
But you still need to continuously build that with the team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just say, hey, we have great people. Let's stop talking about it. That's still part of like onboarding your staff and training your staff. Like people skills that still have to be part of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have this thing, one of the Andres knows this, that we have this thing called the 7 keys to a great session, right? And it's like, what are the 7 things that we need to do within a session to our members? And one of them is get a PhD in the lives of our members.
I love it, yeah.
And so they are constantly thinking about asking questions about what's going on in the lives of the members. What's the most important thing people care about? Themselves. When you are showing genuine interest in other people, you're going to create a better, stronger relationship. And so one of the keys to be able to continue to work here and do a good job is to have that PhD in the members. You're engaged and involved and you care about them. And I'm kind of probably hopefully preaching to the choir on a lot of this stuff, right? I really hope I am.
It's good reminders.
I really hope that most of the stuff we've said today, people are nodding their head and you're like, maybe this is just giving you assurance that you're on the right track, okay? But for the ones that aren't, this is very, very basic, yet very, very important stuff to create a great company.
So if someone's watching this and they want a little bit of help, or they're having a retention problem, they're seeing, you crunch your numbers, I'm at 7%, I'm at 8%, and they need some help. What's the best, where do they start to come for help?
Yeah, it's the same thing we said last time. We have the clarity call, right? And the clarity call is where we look at where your business is at right now, okay? What stage you're in, where's your revenue level, how many staff members you have. Every business that's at a certain stage needs to focus on certain things. Now, no matter what stage you're in, you always need to focus on attrition and retention, right? Every stage needs that. You're not going to ever not do that. But what we do is we look at where you're at, and whatever stage you're in, there's always 3 to 4 things that are going to be what you need to focus on. And so what we do is we help give you clarity on where you are, okay, what stage you're in, and then what are the 3 to 5 things that you need to do to kind of break through to the next level. And just that's kind of how we kind of get people started. It's like we give you that clarity, we give you what you need to do. If you need help with it, we'll help you, obviously. But that call is really about identifying and giving you clarity on what are the things you need to be focused on.
Okay. And if you want the clarity call, there should be a link in the show notes.
Yep, link in the show notes. Yep, totally free.
Book that call.
Yeah, that's a great way to start. A great way to get started with us for sure.
All right. And you're going to Arizona tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I know we talked about it with Joe, is like there's going to be a lot of stolen valor here.
What does that mean?
Stolen valor meaning like you're going to talk about this race like you ran.
No, I'm not.
Like that's the way it's going to go. You're going to come out here. The coach did on a 250. Like
I did not.
Basically, like you did. Like I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about it because
shit.
There's going to be there will be a lot of stolen valor. I can't wait to hear it. Vince,
hey, you're more than welcome to come. You're more than welcome to come.
Some of us got to work for a living.
Yeah.
So, good luck to Joe Hashi.
By the
time this is posted, it'll already be over. And I'm sure we're going to hear all the stories. So I can't wait.
Thanks, Big Tom.
Vince, good luck. Have a great day, guys.
All right.
Thanks for listening to FBU Podcast. Guys, if you got anything out of this episode, do us a favor. Hit that like button, share this episode with another fitness business owner, and subscribe to our channel. Every one of those clicks help us out a lot. And don't forget, visit vincegabriel.com for tons of free resources. There are books, downloads, everything a fitness business owner could need. Thanks again. Have a great day.